Okay, welcome to the VivoEdChat. My name's Colin Brown, Director of Engagement at Vivo. This afternoon we're talking global movement meets local school challenge, and I'm joined by Jonathan Sim, who's the Corporate Community Manager at Movember. So good afternoon, Jonathan.
Hi. Hi
Uh,
there.
Hiya, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Delighted to be here.
Thank you very much for joining us. So, Jonathan, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your role with Movember, and how you came to find yourself working for such an interesting and exciting charity and cause.
Well, my job essentially is, I guess, a kind of good collective way of describing it would be creative fundraising. I'm a corporate communities manager for Movember, which not only covers the banking community within the square mile, lawyers, accountants, those sort of lovely people, but also we noticed a couple of years ago that we did get a huge amount of registrations from schools and that it was growing. We had around 7,000 registrations from pupils and teachers alike last year, from probably just over 300 schools. So my remit also takes in engagement within that community. I also touch quite a lot on grassroots sport. We do a lot of grassroots sport, including a big five-a-side tournament with goals soccer centres, as well as touching on the kind of PR side of it as well with professional sport. So it's quite a wide-ranging role. Essentially, it's creative fundraising, and that includes communities within the school sector, which is obviously particularly relevant to you.
Fantastic. That's really good. And again, a very nice, varied portfolio. So you're clearly a busy man. So tell us a little bit about the story of Movember, because it's unlike most charities, which are normally as old as the Ark, yours is actually relatively new.
It is, yeah. I mean, it started really as something of a giggle among a bunch of kind of surfy types in a suburb of Melbourne called Fitzroy. Two guys were sitting in a bar one afternoon and were served by a girl wearing a Ramones t-shirt, tight jeans and Vans trainers. One of them started to muse to the other that, it's funny how people are starting to wear that kind of gear. We've been wearing it for years. So they started to kind of muse on what would never come back into fashion. One of them said, what about Moustache? What about people like Dennis Lilly? What about Rodney Marsh, all the old sort of Australian cricketers of yesteryear? And one of them dared the other one to grow a moustache. Eventually, their kind of circle of mates all did it. They decided to have a party to celebrate one of them's birthday at the end of the month, and it was a great success. The following year, they decided to do it again. One night, Trav Garoni, who's now, his brothers are CEO, was lying in bed one night and saw an advert for Prostate Cancer Australia on the TV and thought, right, let's raise money for charity. The resultant 25 grand Australian dollar cheque was pound matched by the Aussie government, and when they presented it to Prostate Cancer Australia, it was the biggest cheque they'd ever seen. It's a fairly neglected facet of men's health. Our own Prostate Cancer UK charity has only existed since 1996, so it gives you an indication of the neglect. Really, it was always the cancer that won't kill you, and we're trying to wake people up to the reality of the thing that 1 in 8 men are diagnosed with prostate cancer. 10,000 people a year die of prostate cancer of the 30,000 people that are diagnosed. So together with raising awareness of testicular cancer and men's mental health, it's a fairly fast-growing movement. It arrived in the UK in 2007. Fundraising proper really started in 2008. And since year dot, which I guess is 2004 in Australia, we've raised over £200 million and have funded nearly 500 different health programs across the globe. We're now in 21 countries, including Germany and France last year for the first time. And globally, we raised over £92 million last year, 27 million of which was in the UK.
Blimey, I think that's all you can say. So from one small Australian bar to get to,
Yeah,
well, a global movement, talking about not
yeah,
just raising money for extremely good causes, but also raising the awareness of men's health issues, which are often a kind of a
yes,
classic male. We don't go to doctors. We don't like to talk about ourselves. perspective. So there's obviously there's a big side to the kind of social side and the social movement as much as the fundraising movement.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's about real men growing real moustaches, talking about real health issues, and this the peculiar thing that's been sprouting over the last couple of months on my upper lip is our badge. It's our pink ribbon, if you like, and that's the awareness side of the campaign. A lot of men walking around like members of the village people for a month, and there's also the education side of it. I mean, part of our link up with Prostate Cancer UK involves educating GPs. It involves getting more information into doctors' surgeries. We also fund a myriad of research programs through Prostate Cancer UK up and down the country, and we also have a global action plan, which is one of the first things that we initiated as a global movement. We've created a kind of, for want of a better analogy, a kind of LinkedIn for prostate cancer experts, so they can share research, they can share biomarkers, which are essentially blood, urine and tissue, to try and treat different types of prostate cancer accordingly. At the moment, the PSA test and the physical test you can get from the doctor are by no means conclusive. And it's a matter of trying our very best to try and make those grey areas a bit more black and white for people that are living with prostate cancer. There'll also be a GAP program for testicular cancer coming up over the next couple of years. And next year in the UK, we're going to begin to drift into the kind of mental health space. That's something that's well established in Canada and Australia, for example. In Canada, we have a board of experts that are currently allocating money to a whole gamut of mental health issues, from kind of teenage ADHD to sort of more serious mental health issues like schizophrenia. So, like I was trying to explain earlier, I think there's been a kind of gap in the market, for want of a better phrase, for men's health. And Movember as a global movement is trying to allocate accordingly to the most acute issues that affect men, both in terms of prostate cancer, testicular cancer and mental health.
I think that's a really interesting point. You almost can't imagine Movember existing without social media, if that makes sense. To rise from almost nothing to global, awareness within effectively a decade.
Yeah.
And then again, the next link on from there is the ability to then globally sum up the biometrics around men's health, so that actually you've got a better chance of fighting it because you're sharing the best practice from a worldwide research community. Very, very, again.
What we do, I think.
Sorry, John, go on.
We've grown parallel to the growth of social media, which kind of, I think people recognise it as kind of 2004 onwards, really, in terms of social media, and that's been parallel with our growth. I mean, we talk about the number of conversations we generate, which is a way of gauging, the success of Movember, because until we actually find a cure for prostate cancer, until more men are being successfully diagnosed, until, we've got more tangible ways of measuring our effectiveness. The way we measure it is, we had 1.1 million Mobros, Mo sisters worldwide last year, and on average people talk about them as their massage about 2,500 times a month on social media and conversations and emails on the telephone. So if you multiply the two together, we talk about over 2.82 billion conversations about men's health, and that's what we're trying to generate in the first instance, which is just mass awareness and the ability for normal people to create, extraordinary outcomes and to accelerate outcomes in men's health.
Well, how can we get more of those conversations taking place is a very good link in terms of the Movember 2013 Schools Challenge. So, shall I pull up the website and we can talk a little bit about that? It's your site. So tell us more.
If people involved in the webinar want to go on to Movember.com and search the Schools Challenge. Last year we had around 7,000 individual people registered from schools, but we want to try and get more people, only about challenge, so we want to get more people involved in the schools challenge. There'll be some special prizes on offer, and it's just simply a fun, competitive way of getting your school involved in Movember and seeing who can raise the most money. Last year, Bedford School actually finished top, but they very kindly deferred it down to William Ellis School in Camden Town, who won a day's rugby training from Colin Jarvis, who's an ex-Welsh international. And it's just a fun way of engaging pupils and teachers alike. Mostly kind of fifth form upwards have actually got the ability to grow a mow, but plenty of teachers can. And last year we developed a style guide where you could choose which kind of mow your teacher has to grow. This year we've taken it a step further really, and by mid-October you will be able to download a lesson plan that primarily talks about testicular cancer, but it does touch on prostate cancer and mental health as well. And that will be available from year 6 upwards really. I think it's probably slightly too heavy for anything below year 6, but that'll be available from mid-October to download from Movember.com. But it's just a simple challenge. Get involved, get your school involved. Once you're online, once you've registered, you'll get an individual MoSpace page for your school, for your team. Upload all the pictures you want, chart your journey, have some fun, and raise some money for men's health. Simple as that.
Fantastic. And obviously here at Vivo, we're going to make sure that we help, not just in growing a whole array of wonderful moustaches ourselves amongst the staff team, but obviously our platform is used by over 600 schools in the UK. We have 78,000 teachers logging in on a regular basis. So what we're going to be encouraging the schools that are utilising the Vivo platform, we're going to ask them to really do 2 things. One, obviously, encouraging the teachers to sign up to Movember UK 2013 Schools Challenge, go online, register, get a special fundraising page, but also to encourage the schools to adopt Movember 2013 as one of the charities that you can make available on the on the Vivo system, and then encouraging the students not only to encourage the teachers to get involved by growing the male teachers a mustache, but also by donating their points that they've won through positive behaviour to Movember UK. So the idea being is that it's twofold. It's encouraging the teachers to be involved, and it's also encouraging the students to donate some of their money to Movember as well through the points that they've earned through positive behaviour. So fingers crossed, we can help you guys shift that 400 or so schools taking part last year and nudge it up quite a little bit higher. And I think hopefully that will make a piston. That's good. We've had a couple of questions come in, so hopefully we've got time to cover those off. So one of the questions was around the kind of videos and kind of session. Obviously the lesson plan is coming, and hopefully the teachers are inspired enough to get involved at this stage, but are there any kind of video resources that Movember use to kind of educate, and obviously making sure that they're relevant to the age group, but educate around the men's health issues that could be used within a school setting? Do you kind of have a video library that you guys use?
Yeah, we do. We do. 4 or 5 of which are going to be involved in the lesson plan. One of them is an outcomes video which talks about the dedicated community nurses that we're starting to employ up and down the country. It's a slow start. I think we have around a dozen in the first instance, but obviously after this campaign and the money people raise, this is something that's going to continue. It basically provides hospital care in homes, so people can get better support when they're living with prostate cancer. We've got a video on our global action plan as well, which I mentioned to you before. And then there's also kind of lighter stuff as well. I mean, we've got a video of the Bedford School guys last year who did a kind of Movember rap video, which is quite amusing, and also just another kind of slightly lighter video about grape and sausage from history. So there's a kind of nice yin and yang between the kind of more serious issues of Movember and something that will tickle the kids' fancy a little bit and give them a bit of a laugh in class as well.
And I think it is difficult. Obviously this is a serious issue, but obviously if we stay on the serious side, it's less engaging, if that makes sense. People want to know that the money's going to a good cause.
I think that's true. I think certainly from an adult perspective, Movember started in the pub and there's a lot of partying that goes on during the month. I guess, without sounding too far-fetched, it's almost like a kind of knowing celebration of masculinity as well as a month of fundraising as well. So there's a lot of, it is about having a bit of a laugh at yourself. I mean, most guys do look a bit daft with a moustache, so there's a lot of self-deprecation and a lot of fun involved in Movember as well as kind of, more serious side.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. We all find that a mustache kind of dates one to a particular period in time. A number of my, I look like an RAF pilot from World War II, and a number of my friends look like Capri drivers from the 1980s. So, yes, it does have that ability to take us back in time. So maybe there's an angle there for some kind of school history projects, mustaches
Exactly, yeah.
mustaches from history. I'm sure there are hundreds and thousands of ways that it can be spun. That was brilliant, John. I'm sure that there will be other questions, but I think we've done certainly enough for today, and so we'll be promoting Movember as part of the campaign on the Vivo website, and obviously encouraging schools to log in. And thanks very much for your time today. And again, if anyone's following on social media and wants to suggest anything, please use the hashtag VivoEdChat. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. We'll end the session there, short and sweet. And the next VivoEdChat is on next Thursday, the 10th of October, and it's one of our senior account managers talking about the challenges some schools face in getting their older in students engaged. So the whole school improvement agenda, particularly around the older students. So please join us again for that next week. Thank you very much, John from Movember, and we'll end the session now.